At this moment, the eye of Kaini, which had never opened completely before, suddenly sprang to life. Yuan stood in awe as he witnessed the vast, infinite mana that Kaini held within. This was no ordinary surge of power. It was a revelation. He understood now that there was a fundamental difference between merely knowing the source of one's power and fully drawing upon it. Unlike the usual method of accessing a limited skill window provided by an item, this was tapping into the very essence of an ancient force. Yuan realized that the title King of the Dead bestowed upon him was not merely about commanding the undead. There was a deeper, more profound power embedded within this title. It was as if he had unlocked a hidden potential that had been lying dormant. He began to gather all the power of Kaini into his right hand, feeling it swell and grow stronger with each passing second. The dark energy crackled around him, and he could feel its weight, its raw potential ready to be unleashed. As the power reached its peak, Yuan unleashed a devastating strike at Ares using his moonlight sword. The dark lightning that surrounded him surged forward with astonishing speed, charging straight at Ares. The air around them sizzled with electricity as the force of the strike tore through the battlefield. Ares' eyes widened in shock as he felt the immense pressure of the dark element pressing against his own mana. "What is this?" he thought, realizing the gravity of the situation. This was bad. Normally, such a sudden increase in power could only mean one thing. Yuan had spent all his mana and was going for a decisive, quick victory. It was a remarkable feat, but Ares knew that Yuan's skills were still a step behind his own. The fact that Yuan hadn't been able to land a single effective blow until now was proof of that. Ares had managed to strike Yuan several times already, his sword reaching him while Yuan struggled to land a blow. He knew that if he could prolong the fight, he would win 9 times out of 10. Yet, his crumpled pride wouldn't allow him to drag this out. He had to end it now. The mana emanating from Ares' body glowed as brightly as the sun, pushing Yuan back. It was an overwhelming force, a clear display of Ares' dominance. He took a step towards Yuan, the tip of his short spear aiming directly at Yuan's head, ready to pierce through the darkness. In an instant, Ares closed the distance between them. The darkness encasing the temple parted as Ares' 2 spearheads struck at Yuan's head. The collision between the spear and Yuan's sword sent shockwaves through the air. Ares immediately withdrew his spear, preparing to continue his relentless attack. But then, something unexpected happened. Ares' body didn't respond. His arms felt heavy, his movements sluggish and uncoordinated. An uncomfortable sensation washed over him, as if his own body was betraying him. In that moment, Ares and Yuan's eyes met. There was a glimmer of understanding in Yuan's gaze. Mana began to flow through Ares' arm, but it was too late. Ares suddenly found himself engulfed by a deep, oppressive darkness. He could hardly believe it. The powerful mana he had been emitting should have easily pierced through Yuan's defenses. Yet here he was, swallowed by this impenetrable blackness. A sense of unease gripped him, only to be deepened by Yuan's voice echoing through the void. "You are weak in close combat," Yuan declared, his tone steady and confident. Ares felt a strong hand grip his wrist, the one holding his spear. Yuan's words continued to reverberate around them. "I can't believe how easily you went in," he said, his grip tightening. Panic surged through Ares. "What the heck?" he stammered, his voice betraying his shock. He instinctively stepped back, trying to distance himself from Yuan's grasp. As he retreated, a wall of energy formed behind him, preventing any further escape. In a desperate bid to regain control, Ares' spear slipped from his grasp, clattering to the ground. It was then that Ares noticed something terrifying. His eyes widened in horror as he saw his wrist, severed cleanly, with his hand missing. The sight was so shocking that his scream came too late. The pain was secondary to the sheer terror of his missing hand. In a frenzied effort, Ares channeled all his remaining strength to dispel the darkness clinging to his body. As he did, a chilling realization dawned on him. Did he give me the way, on purpose? The thought that Yuan had deliberately led him deeper into this trap filled his mind, but no other explanation surfaced. Yuan's plan had worked perfectly. Ares now doubted his ability to penetrate the immense power that now permeated the temple as easily as he had moments ago. The energy from Kaini began to swell, surging skyward. The darkness spread out like thick clouds, blocking the sunlight that had been illuminating the temple, turning day into night in an instant. At that moment, a notification appeared before Yuan. Lightning fragment reacts with Kaini. Immediately, lightning flashed through the darkened clouds, illuminating the temple's eerie gloom. Yuan extended his hand towards Ares, his words resounding with authority. Dark thunder roared within the temple, shattering its roof. Lightning shot up into the sky, illuminating the surroundings with an intense, almost blinding light. Aphesis, one of the rankers loyal to Ares, watched the scene unfold with growing tension. What the hell just happened? He thought, his mind racing. The center of the temple was now filled with a thick mass of dark mana, from which thunder continuously boomed. Aphesis' eyes widened in disbelief. Ares, shrouded in darkness, was nowhere to be seen. The darkness had not yet fully dissipated, and Aphesis clung to the hope that Ares was safe within it. He believed that his master would emerge unscathed from the darkness, and he waited anxiously for Ares to reappear. Aphesis and the other lackeys cautiously moved forward, drawn by the intense battle unfolding before them. But their advance was abruptly halted by a commanding voice that echoed through the tense atmosphere. "Stop!" The deep voice boomed, and all eyes turned to Arthur. He stood resolute, his sword raised, signaling his intent to intervene in the fight. Arthur, witnessing the clash alongside his subordinates, was determined to prevent any interference. Aphesis, undeterred by Arthur's stance, squared his shoulders and met Arthur's gaze defiantly. "Step aside," he demanded, his voice laced with determination. Arthur's eyes glinted with bluish mana, his grip tightening on his sword as he stood firm. "Sorry, but that won't work," Arthur replied calmly, his aura radiating a formidable presence that sent shivers down Aphesis' spine. Feeling the overwhelming mana emanating from Arthur, Aphesis gave a signal. Rankers and players who had been watching the fight from a distance now drew their weapons one by one. Tensions escalated as they prepared for a potential conflict. Before Arthur could escalate the situation further, a significant development occurred within the battle between Yuan and Ares. The massive mana enveloping them began to writhe and churn. Suddenly, a flash of golden light pierced through the darkness, illuminating the battlefield. This radiant glow didn't originate from Ares' own mana but from a special object he carried, an artifact gifted by Zeus, his mysterious golden armor. As the light spread, Ares' entire body turned black and became unrecognizable, a stark transformation that stunned all witnesses. Simultaneously, the mana that had filled the temple's center began swirling rapidly, converging into a single point. The once hidden interior of the temple was exposed, revealing the aftermath of the duel. It was evident that the battle had concluded decisively. The remaining rankers, overwhelmed with a mix of sorrow and resignation, seemed to lose their will to fight. The darkness that had surrounded Kaini reclaimed its place as the primary force in the temple. As the shadows dissipated, the first thing that came into view was Yuan's exhausted yet triumphant face. Amidst the aftermath, a notification resounded. "The King of the Dead calls out to the spirit of Ares." It signaled the absorption of Ares' soul by Kaini, a testament to Yuan's victory over his formidable adversary. Yuan stared at Kaini, a mixture of immense fatigue and astonishment visible on his face. He had anticipated the power of Kaini, but experiencing it firsthand surpassed his expectations. The object wielded so much power. It was clear it held numerous yet untapped potentials. What if he could master this power further? A power that had reduced even the mighty high-rank Ares to nothing but ashes in an instant. Yuan contemplated the possibilities, realizing anew the depth of Kaini's capabilities and the potential it held for his future battles and conquests. After the intense battle, Yuan approached Ares' lifeless body sprawled on the ground, his once golden armor now blackened and corroded by the lightning that had consumed him. Ares appeared barely recognizable, his form almost disintegrated into dust. Yuan extended his hand towards the fallen warrior, ignoring the expensive equipment scattered around. What mattered now was not the value of the items, but what they symbolized. Yuan's gaze focused on a golden necklace around Ares' neck, matching the color of his armor. As Yuan reached for it, the remainder of Ares' body crumbled into dust, leaving behind only the armor. Without hesitation, Yuan retrieved Ares' golden armor and placed it into his inventory, a practical move to secure the powerful artifact for himself. As Yuan stood there, he sensed a shift in the atmosphere above him. Looking up, he anticipated that the aftermath of the battle wouldn't go unnoticed. It would be nice if they could move on without incidents, but apparently that wasn't going to happen, Yuan thought to himself, his gaze fixed on the sky. He knew the commotion caused by Ares' demise would draw attention. Above the open sky of the temple, a structure resembling a pyramid began to rise, creating a new ceiling. Yuan pondered the implications of this development. There's no way they don't know about this commotion, he mused, considering the likelihood that news of the battle had reached others. Yuan speculated that someone had likely tipped off the authorities when he first entered the Temple of Ares. The proximity of the temples of Asgard and Olympus, both symbolizing similar themes and located on the same floor, suggested an interconnectedness that could not be ignored. The sound of horses' hooves in the sky signaled the arrival of Olympus' response, akin to Asgard's Valkyries, the chariot of the sun. Descending from the distant sky was a woman with coppery skin and golden hair, resembling Apollo, a symbol of true war in Olympus. This was Athena, the warrior who fought in the Gigantomachy before Hercules, the closest sister of Ares and a high ranker of far superior standing compared to Ares. Unlike Ares, who had recently attained his high ranker status, Athena had held hers for thousands of years. As Athena landed amidst a radiant glow, her piercing gaze swept across the temple, taking in the aftermath of the battle. She wore a somber expression as signs of the conflict became apparent. Turning her attention to the figures standing in the center, Yuan and Arthur, Athena posed a direct question, her voice carrying authority and concern. "Is it true?" Athena inquired, her eyes searching for confirmation amidst the stunned silence. Yuan and Arthur, aware of the weight of her presence, stood solemnly, prepared to address the consequences of their battle. The responsibility fell on Ares' loyal servant, Aphesis, to answer Athena's inquiry. "Yes, my lady," Aphesis responded dutifully, confirming the grim truth of Ares' demise. As Athena spoke those words, the atmosphere inside the temple seemed to shift. The walls trembled, still reeling from the intense battle between Yuan and Ares, causing debris to fall around them. Athena's piercing gaze bore into Yuan, her eyes glinting with an intensity that could not be ignored. "Then you must be my brother's enemies," she declared, her voice carrying both authority and a hint of challenge. Suddenly, a cry echoed through the shield of Aegis, a sound that cut through the tense silence like a slender serpent's hiss. Tower notifications flashed urgently. "You are scanning the screams of the Gorgon. Petrification begins." Yuan's abilities and skills immediately sprang into action, resisting the petrifying impact of Aegis. Notifications continued to pop up. "Holy Fire resists petrification. Cinder Eyes resists petrification." The resistance was successful, sparing Yuan from the dangerous effects of the shield's power. Muttering to himself, Yuan expressed disbelief at the shield's ability to petrify merely through sound, let alone direct eye contact. "This is the first time I've heard of it," he murmured, recognizing the unique and deadly nature of Aegis. It was indeed the original, not a replica, an artifact of immense power. Arthur voiced his concern, questioning the danger of facing such a formidable opponent. Yuan nodded in agreement, acknowledging the risk involved in this confrontation. "Won't it be dangerous?" Arthur asked, seeking Yuan's strategy. With a calm demeanor, Yuan responded, "What will you do now? It's a situation we can't escape from anyway." Surrounded by Athena's rankers, who had already taken defensive positions, Arthur was burning with determination. Yuan remained composed, reassuring Arthur that it wasn't their turn to act just yet. His nonchalance in the face of imminent conflict hinted at a deeper strategy or confidence in what was to come. "And then, now it's your turn," Yuan remarked casually, shifting his gaze upward through the hole in the temple ceiling. In that moment, his cinder eyes began to resonate with a presence high above. Tower notifications informed Yuan that the 12th eye of the great sage was observing him. As the intense wind swept out from the center of the temple, causing a momentary disruption among the rankers, a long crozier suddenly descended from the sky, piercing through the veil of mana above. Yuan's attention was drawn to the smoke that accompanied the staff's arrival, remarking wryly, "Too late," as usual. The smoke dissipated, revealing the crozier, a formidable staff about 4 meters long, made of an unknown material, balanced on its tip. Standing atop the staff was a figure with distinctive features. White hair, flaxen skin, a mischievous expression, and eyes that gleamed with mischief. It was Sun Wukong. Upon hearing Yuan's comment, Sun Wukong responded with typical confidence, stating that main characters always appeared at the most critical moments. Yuan rubbed his head in mild exasperation and closed his eyes briefly, perhaps disappointed by the timing or the implications of Wukong's arrival. The appearance of Sun Wukong immediately shifted the atmosphere among the rankers. Some expressions turned contemplative, mumbling in disbelief. "No way! Why is he here?" Even Athena, the commanding figure among them, displayed surprise at Wukong's unexpected presence. She questioned him directly, her tone carrying a mix of curiosity and suspicion. "You're working with Kim Yuan?" Athena narrowed her eyes, scrutinizing Sun Wukong as he scratched his head in response to her inquiry. After a moment of consideration, he shrugged casually, contemplating aloud. "Maybe, to be called a partner, this guy must be pretty shady. Besides, he's still no match for my main body." With a mischievous glint, Wukong turned to Yuan, teasing him with pitiful eyes and remarking, "Isn't that right?" Yuan narrowed his eyes, briefly appearing taken aback by Wukong's playful jab. He quickly regained his composure and retorted, "Not far." It was clear to Yuan that Wukong was teasing him, and he responded with a hint of defiance, refusing to let Wukong's antics undermine his resolve. But Wukong wasn't done yet, continuing to banter. "Yuan, you just talk big. Grow your skills before you run your mouth." Athena observed this exchange with growing impatience, her grip tightening on Aegis, a clear indication of her readiness to take action. She confronted Wukong directly, her voice firm and commanding. "Great sage Sun Wukong, do you intend to wage war against Olympus?" In response to Athena's challenge, Wukong didn't remain silent. He pointed the tip of his staff, Rui Bang, directly at Athena. In a swift and decisive move, Athena pushed Aegis forward, preparing to meet the challenge head-on. The tension in the temple escalated further as both sides stood poised for conflict, the clash of powers and personalities shaping the unfolding drama. As Sun Wukong's command echoed through the temple, "Grow, Ru-E," a powerful surge of energy rippled through the sky, causing clouds to swirl in a circle and creating a massive void in the once clear heavens. The staff, Rui Bang, expanded to an immense size, obliterating the rankers who stood in its path before finally colliding with Athena's Aegis shield. The impact pushed Athena back, but fortunately, the shield held against the tremendous force of the Rui Bang. Sun Wukong, caught off guard by the resilience of Aegis, wore a bewildered expression as he speculated, "Is it an item of Hephaestus?" He marveled at the shield's composition, aware that even with adamantium, Aegis boasted an unbreakable defense, one that could withstand the might of his staff. More impressive to him was Athena herself, who stood firm behind the shield despite the powerful blow. The impact was significant enough to make Athena's hand tremble, showcasing the immense force behind Wukong's attack. The decision to immediately raise Aegis and shield herself had proven effective. Even Zeus himself would have struggled to evade the Rui Bang at such close range. Despite his disappointment at not breaking through, Sun Wukong couldn't help but smile. Turning to Yuan with a pleased expression, he remarked, "It's more fun than I thought." He urged Yuan to handle the lesser foes while he dealt with the larger threat, teasing Yuan if he could manage without his assistance. Yuan returned Wukong's smile confidently, meeting his gaze squarely. "Don't ask obvious questions," he quipped, displaying his resolve. "Waste no time." Yuan immediately issued orders to Arthur, commanding him with a stern expression to eliminate all remaining adversaries swiftly and evacuate. Arthur nodded in acknowledgement, his focus unwavering on carrying out Yuan's directive. Sun Wukong, still observing Yuan, chuckled at his quick decision-making. "I'm starting to like you more and more, Yuan," he admitted, his respect for the young warrior growing. Without hesitation, Wukong turned towards Athena and charged forward, his momentum carrying him into the fray. Yuan and Arthur followed suit, their movements synchronized in readiness for battle. The temple atmosphere crackled with tension as Athena's forces and the intruders clashed, each side prepared to defend their honor and territory.